GameNight.com. Champion Exteriors.
Call 800-276-0032. Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net.
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night of Monday. ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. What a wild weekend it was. The NFL draft really felt like it was a huge focus for me, a huge part of my Saturday. Phillies sweep the Padres in San Diego. And the Sixers, well, they're incredibly disappointing. It's, watching the Sixers yesterday, that felt like it was, you ever have one of those days where you feel like things aren't just going great and then something happens to make it just feel like it's piling on top. Watching the fourth quarter of that Sixers game yesterday felt like it was just piling on top of a day that just was not my day at all. So we'll get to the Sixers, we'll get to the Phillies, and we will get to the NFL draft here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Bryan Toporek, who covers the Sixers for Liberty Ballers, also covers the NBA. That's the co-host of the NBA podcast. He will join us coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973 in your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I gotta get to the Sixers first. I gotta get it off my chest. All right, I gotta get it out of my soul because it's one of those deals where, and no offense to my buddy Geegan, but him being the only person I really talked about the game yesterday really left me with a lot of pent-up emotion about this team. All right. And I gotta tell you guys, there's so much to process with the game yesterday. So let's start with this. I don't know what happened at halftime to the Sixers, but whatever at halftime, Nick Nurse and the Sixers should never do it again. Whatever was said, whatever was eaten, whatever was drank, whatever was consumed, whatever it was, never, ever do it again. Because it was utterly embarrassing. Joel Embiid talked about how frustrated he was about the Knicks fans being in the building, taking over what seemed like half the building or more. Embiid should be more embarrassed with the effort his teammates put out. Because at some point, we all have to ask questions. And part of those questions about this Sixers team moving forward is we were told, okay, we were led to believe that the organization had done what they could to win this year. And when I asked the question earlier today about, what do we say about now to the people who say you should have gotten Buddy Hield? I've heard people say, well, the Sixers are looking ahead to the offseason. They're looking ahead to getting rid of these contracts and having salary cap room. If that's the reason why we are in this predicament down 3-1, then the entire organization should be insulted and embarrassed of themselves. You saw a team that got out-hustled, out-worked, out everything yesterday. I was sitting in with Billy Schweim on the locker room on Sunday on 97.3 ESPN, and I said, with Mitchell Robinson banged up, with the Knicks showing you that they can be beaten on Thursday night, you should and will win that game. And boy, was I wrong, because my assumption, incorrect by the way, my assumption is that the win on Thursday got the Sixers back in the groove. And at least in the first half, it looked like they were still gonna win that game. And then the second half happened. And then all the offensive rebounds started being grabbed by New York again. And then the Sixers couldn't seemingly make any shots. And then the offense seemed to stagnate. And then the moment of the second half that stood out to me more than anything else that I felt was the encapsulation of the Sixers' loss. And B went up for a shot on the perimeter, and Precious Achiuwa came out of nowhere and blocked it. The defeated look on Joel Embiid's face told me they were in trouble. So before they didn't score for the final almost 5 minutes of the game, before the Knicks completely dominated them on the glass in the fourth quarter, before any of that happened, that Achiuwa block, that was the moment I realized I'm done with this. I am emotionally checked out on this Sixers team. Because as a fan, you always try to find something to grasp onto, something to hold on to. But I gotta tell you guys, yesterday's game killed my spirit. And here's what I had to say to the 76ers after that game yesterday.
You have failed this city.
They literally let the city of Philadelphia down. I understand Embiid is doing everything he can with the knee injury, with the Bell's palsy. I understand that this is the first time Maxey has ever been asked to be a bona fide number 2 in this environment. I understand all of that. But you literally have given the fans ammunition against you. The Sixers literally handed every single hater, every single negative Nancy, every single, Negadelphian, every single whatever you want to call them, every single one of them, ammunition. And the only way that ammunition goes away is if you do something this organization has never done, which is come back down from 3-1. It's bad enough that Tobias Harris is a pathetic excuse of a basketball player. It's bad enough that you're depending on an older Kyle Lowry to help support your offense. It's bad enough that Tyrese Maxey went out there and shot 3 for 9 from 3 and struggled to get 23 points yesterday afternoon. I almost said last night. But the bench gave you a total of 6 points. I'm not asking Batum to go get me 4 threes. I'm asking for 1. I'm not asking Paul Reed to give me a double-double. I'm asking him to get more than 1 rebound. I'm not asking Campaign to score 20 points like he did for the Suns a couple of years ago in their playoff run. I'm asking him to hit 2 or 3 threes when I need it the most. And DeAnthony Melton, he gave me nothing offensively. Meanwhile, on the other side of the court, their best player, Jalen Brunson, had not just a career playoff high. Jalen Brunson now is the all-time New York Knicks franchise postseason single game scorer. You let that happen. Jalen Brunson willed his team to a victory. This young man is going to be an MVP in this league one day. And you let it happen after 2 games where you limited him in New York. Josh Hart didn't hit a single 3 in the game yesterday. Dante DiVincenzo got 8 points almost by accident. OG Anunoby, 0 for 4 from 3. Bogdanovich got injured in the game yesterday. Precious Achiuwa did nothing offensively. Everything on the box score says you should have won the game. I don't need a box score to tell me any different what my eyes saw. My eyes saw a Sixers team that got outworked, outplayed, out-hustled, and the Knicks wanted it more. And I am officially done with this team emotionally. Yeah, I'm gonna watch tomorrow night because I care and I wanna see them win. But the idea and the hope that they could win this playoff series and the idea and the hope died for me yesterday because this team
You have failed this city.
over on the text board 609-403-0973, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. So let's get a couple of you guys thoughts and comments in here before we get to some of the topics here. Biz from Absecon says, "Hey Josh, Joel was scoreless for the first 9 minutes of the fourth quarter. He was absolutely exhausted. No help from anyone except for Maxey. I'm done with them. They have sucked my heart out of my body." That's from Biz and Absecon. Biz, you and I feel the same way. I feel like we're some Patico here because it felt like Embiid was running on fumes and no one came to help him. There was never a point in time where Embiid turned around and had somebody next to him that he could rely on. And the fact that you played Embiid 44 minutes and you only gave him basically a few minutes off the court, of course he's exhausted. Of course he's tired. His teammates need to pick it up for him. And either Nick Nurse doesn't trust the guys on this bench, which is an indictment of the front office, or Nick Nurse needs to be more trusting of his bench. You're telling me in a game like yesterday, you couldn't have gone to KJ Martin and said, KJ Martin, just go crazy. Just go do be KJ Martin. Go be athletic. I'm not saying one person would have changed the narrative, but Jalen Brunson willed his team to 47 points. Joel Embiid scored 50 points on Thursday night. You would have thought the team would have come in with a little more, pick up a little more confidence. And then Embiid, trying to be the leader, trying to be positive, says this after the game yesterday.
We know we're good enough. Tonight we didn't make shots, so we just gotta keep trusting ourselves. We know the pace was not good in the fourth quarter, so we gotta play faster. Yeah, like I said, keep trusting each other and go out and play. I mean, we got no pressure. We're the 7th seed, down 3-1. A lot of guys are hurt. I don't know why we would feel the pressure, so we should just go out there and play our best basketball.
It sounds great in theory. But I feel like Joel is trying to just be a positive thinker and speak something into existence. And you can be all positive you want, but you know what? You can sit in your car and say, I deserve $1 million 20 times, and you could chant it with some items in your hand that either a religious person or a cult leader gave you. But guess what? $1 million isn't dropping in your hands unless you have $1 million potential investment that's going to bring you that money, or a miracle from God happens. And unless a miracle from God happens for the Sixers team, I'm like Biz from Epseekin. They have stolen the heart out of my chest. George from Summers Point chimes this, 609-403-0973 says, I usually think that when a team gets out-rebounded, out-played in a series, that the coach is to blame. I know the coach is definitely not to blame this year, says George from Summers Point. The Sixer players have only themselves to blame for that performance yesterday. They are playing like a 7 seed that they are. As the saying goes, they are who we thought they were. That's from George and Summers Point. Listen, a couple things there. One, I feel like what you said, George, is very interesting because I want to talk specifically about the coach part. You're right. Historically, Sixer fans have blamed Nurse. And like I said, if you want to blame Nurse for not playing KJ Martin, if you want to blame Nurse for playing, Tobias Harris too many minutes, that's fine. But my question, though, is he not playing KJ Martin? Is he not playing certain guys because he doesn't trust them? Does he not play certain guys because he's too loyal to certain guys? Is there too much loyalty to Lowry? Is there too much loyalty to Tobias Harris? If there is, that's a problem. Now, if there's a loyalty issue, let's blame the coach. But if he doesn't trust the guys on his team or his bench, that's a front office problem. And maybe we do need to look to Daryl Morey and say, Daryl, if your whole strategy was to survive this season and get to the offseason and get to a mediocre free agent class, that's a problem as well. Jeff from Ocean City says, Josh, your opening rant was spot on. I lost my energy to even care about the Sixers anymore. Total organizational failure from Jeff in Ocean City. And that's the thing. The Phillies are red hot right now. Alec Boehm was just named the player of the week in the National League. The dude is having an amazing year. The Phillies are playing great out on this West Coast trip, right? They're out there in San Diego sweeping the Padres. The Eagles had an amazing draft, and the Sixers just got to come in and just ruin our day. Stephen Vettner chimes in at 609-403-0970. We'll get to him before we hit the break. He says, how smart is Howie staying at 22, then jumping in front to get another corner instead of the run in the second round? That's knowing the market, knowing your competition, like the Becton signing as a swing tackle, or maybe even compete at right guard. Howie's the best GM in football. Forget the Sixers, they're toast. Let's go, Phils. Steve, you made some interesting points there. I do want to get to the Eagles stuff a little bit later, but coming up next, Bryan Toporek joins us from the NBA podcast, contributor for Liberty Ballers. We'll vent some more about the Sixers and the NBA playoffs next here on Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you at 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
It's Sixers Knicks Game 5 tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
With a 7 seed, down 3-1. I don't know why we would feel the pressure, so we should just go out there and play our best basketball and, one at a time, win one, come back home, win another one.
It's Sixers playoff basketball on South Jersey's official home for the 76ers, 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 6:30.
As a contractor, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need, when I need it, and every branch works together. So I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they.
Drop by their location in Pleasantville on May 3rd for their grand reopening event with over 25 local vendors. Enjoy music, food, prizes, and learn how Beacon can help you get more done. Beacon, always building.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, honey, it's our favorite leaf filter trusted pro, Matt. Matt, come in.
Hi, Mrs. Sparks. You wanted me to stop by? Is everything okay with your leaf filter gutter protection system?
Okay. Of course, silly. We wanted you to stop by for dinner as our way of thanking you.
Yes, to thank you for that free gutter inspection, the free estimate, and what was the other thing?
That lifetime guarantee.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Sparks, those are just Leaf Filter's policies. Everyone who calls Leaf Filter gets a trusted pro to come out for a free gutter inspection and estimate. And every Leaf Filter installation comes with a lifetime guarantee.
So it's not just us?
No, sir. We don't want anyone to worry about clogged gutters ever again.
You mean everyone gets this level of service?
Everyone. They just need to visit leaffilter.com/sound to schedule their free inspection.
Okay, but you must be starving. You work so hard.
Ready to love your gutter protection as much as we do? Visit leaffilter.com/sound and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy?
Totalmente.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan at an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to Total by Verizon? Definitely.
Totalmente.
Find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate without a pay plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after you enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it.
That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Backed by popular demand, it's Matt Blatt Kia's 2 for $222 all month long until they're gone. Get 2 new Kias for $222, but only while supplies last. Get a brand new 2024 Kia Forte LXS for just $111 per month lease with 0 security deposits and just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? That's a brand new Kia Forte for $111 per month, or drive home 2 for $222. Even get 0% APR for 48 months, or $7,500 cash back on any new 2024 Kia EV9. Plus, if you have a job clearing $450 per week, we want to get you approved today.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, APR, or cash back on 2024 EV9. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payments. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details, or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 5/4/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night. We'll get to Bryan Toporek in just a moment. Don't forget, professional boxing returns to Tropicana showroom for the first time in 7 years as Boxing Insider Promotions presents a stacked card you do not want to miss. On Saturday, May 11th, the undefeated junior middleweight Justin Figueroa from Atlantic City, along with former New Jersey Golden Gloves champ John Leonardo and the top New Jersey and New York fighters in action at Tropicana Atlantic City's showroom. Go to Ticketmaster.com now to get your tickets and make sure you do not miss this special Boxing Insider Promotions event on May 11th inside Tropicana Atlantic City. Bryan Toporek joins us now as we are all lamenting the Sixers. Bryan, first of all, before we get into the misery, how you doing today?
What a loaded question on a day like this, Josh. I'm thinking about the Eagles. I'm looking at your shirt. I'm thinking about Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. That's how I'm doing.
No, Jillix Hunt and Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
Jeremiah, yep. Will Shipley. Oh, yeah. We're all aboard. Thank you, Howie, for saving us this weekend.
Well, it's so weird because I said before you came on, Bryan, the Eagles had a great weekend. The Phillies had a great weekend. And then here come the Sixers just to kick us in the groin, So, so my first question, I have a prop for the question, obviously. I don't know if you heard before you came on, but why did the Sixers...
You have failed this city!
Another loaded question, really. Where to begin? I mean, how much time do you have? We need a history lesson here.
Well, first of all, I want to know is are you the only person who recognizes what that is from?
You might need to open the phone lines. Let's see. We might need callers.
I was going to say, because no one's texted in knowing what that clip is from yet. I want to know if you at least know.
I do not, I don't think, actually.
So it's from the TV show Arrow that ran on the CW for years. And his tagline, every time he would take down somebody, would be, "You have failed this city," before he either arrested the guy or killed him. So
that might need to be the epitaph on this decade of the Sixers. Just, "You have failed this city."
You have failed this city!
So go ahead. You can answer the loaded question now.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back many, many years to where this all began. But, to this team and what's gone wrong, you can obviously point to the rebounding. They got crushed on the glass in game 1, could not come up with a rebound to save their lives in the fourth quarter, especially in game 4. I mean, I think really where they lost the game was the waning minutes of game 3, or the third quarter. They opened a double-digit lead early in the fourth, get sloppy, give the ball away over and over again after being really careful. I think the broadcast said they only had 2 turnovers in the first half and then like 5 within the first half of the third quarter. And that allowed the Knicks to get back in the game. Dante DiVincenzo had a couple of big threes, and then they were trading threes with Jalen Brunson. The Knicks go into the fourth up 1. And had the Sixers maintained that lead, maybe even though they're getting killed every time Embiid's off the floor, maybe they figure, all right, we'll spot them this 6-point lead, but we'll get Embiid a couple minutes of rest, and then we're going to have him fresh for the rest of the game. Instead, Embiid plays the entire half, which had never happened before. He's never played an entire half, according to Mike Lynch, who works with the Basketball Reference. And I think he just wore down at the end. You could see it. He just looked fatigued. He did not have the necessary verve on either end of the floor to carry the Sixers home. The supporting cast, which has been the story of this series. Kelly Oubre had a nice game with 19 points on 7 of 15 shooting, but really did not get a lot from the supporting cast. Meanwhile, Miles McBride for the Knicks had 13 points on 3 of 5 shooting from deep. OG Anunoby was phenomenal on both ends of the floor, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, and played some great defense on Embiid in the fourth quarter. So, they need either Embiid and Maxey to carry them, which is what happened in Game 3, or they need their supporting cast to show up more than they have in this series, because the Knicks, Brunson struggled in the first 2 games of the series, and the supporting cast, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Miles McBride, Bojan Bogdanovic the first game, they're the reasons they went up 2-0 in this series, and the Sixers had not held their own from who is scoring outside of these stars perspective.
All right, so a couple of things you said that I want to hit on. Number one, you talked about how Embiid played so many minutes and how he basically got no rest. So do we blame the head coach for that? Do we blame, is there someone to blame in a situation like that? Because it's been suggested, Brian, that Nick Nurse doesn't really trust his bench, to which my answer would be, then you blame the front office because the front office gave him that bench. You know what I mean? But it's like, or is Nick Nurse just being stubborn? What there has to be an explanation for why you're leaving Embiid out there when he just looks like he can barely move in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, I think all series they've lost to the Embiid-less minutes by a ridiculous margin. So I think he knew if they were up 7 going into the fourth, maybe he makes that gamble and is willing to play without Embiid for 3 minutes, and if they lose the lead, at least they're probably not going to be down 15 when he comes back in. When you go into the fourth quarter down 1, then you're looking at that and you're probably saying, ooh, my choices are play Embiid the entire fourth, or if we rest him, there's a good chance we're going to be down double digits by the time he comes back in. And I think there are a lot of people blaming Paul Reed for this. I don't necessarily think it's his fault. I think the entire offense just goes into a turtle shell whenever Embiid isn't on the floor. And frankly, if you look back, I mean, you could argue that the offense had started to go into that mode even in the third quarter. Embiid was just getting Isaiah Hartenstein in particular. I mean, 5 fouls on him in the third quarter alone, and was generating a lot of free throw attempts out of that. So I think that helped mask some of these execution problems that were happening in the second half. But I don't want to blame anyone for this. I think it's a correctable problem, and it's something that they're going to need to figure out. And you thought they did. I mean, earlier this season, it was Embiid would rest early in the fourth, and Tyrese Maxey earned this nickname of fourth quarter Maxey. We have not seen fourth quarter Maxey come out to the same extent in this series, and I think that's crushed them in the non-Embiid minutes.
Talking with Bryan Toporek here. Of course, he's the co-host of the NBA podcast and contributor for Liberty Ballers, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. One of the other things you talked about is the Knicks supporting cast. And, for me, I made the comment earlier multiple times today, by the way, which is you look at the box score. It doesn't tell the story because the box score tells you the Sixers should have won the game. But watching the game tells you the Sixers never had a chance to win the game in the fourth quarter because the box score with, Josh Hart was 0 for 7, but it's like he had all these rebounds. He was all the hustle plays. And those guys, the Harts and the OG Anunobys, and they just out hustled. They outworked them. And it looked like they wanted to win more. So how do we reconcile a box score, Brian, that says the Sixers should have won the game by 10 versus a game where my two eyes said the Sixers should have lost by 10?
Yeah. I mean, this is just what the Knicks do. This is what they've done all year. This is what they did to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round of last year's playoffs. They are going to out-tough you, and you have to live up to that, which I think the Sixers did in Game 3, and I think they did for most of this game. But again, I think Embiid just worn down, and they didn't have the right personnel on the floor to support him in those waning minutes. So, I don't know if it's just a matter of going back to the film room. It's a matter of just basic execution on box outs. And Matt Moore of the Action Network noted on Twitter earlier today, like some of them were just really lucky bounces or really unlucky bounces from the Sixers perspective. Like the ball caromed off the rim in a way, a physics defying way, which seems to be a theme with this franchise in the playoffs. So maybe you just need to get science back on your side. But otherwise, I think another issue is they're kind of a guard heavy team. It's, Tobias, Oubre, Batum. Paul Reed played 4 minutes. I mean, otherwise it's Lowry, Maxey, Campaign, D'Anthony Melton. We haven't seen KJ Martin yet in this series, I don't believe. We haven't seen Ricky Council Jr. or Ricky Council IV, I should say. Maybe those are the levers that you can still pull if you are just so desperate to find someone to match the Knicks' energy and physicality. I think those are the guys that have the best chance on this roster. Buddy Hield did not play in Game 4. Has been a disappointment throughout the playoffs so far in his first playoff run. So, do you turn back to him for a couple minutes in Game 5 and hope he can knock down a couple shots and get his confidence back going? I don't know. I don't know if there are any good answers to this question other than hope you have enough left in the tank with Embiid in the fourth quarter that he doesn't wear down.
And it's crazy because the Bucks look like they're going to be without Giannis and Lillard in their next game. So they're going to be out of the playoffs very soon. The whole theory is that, you would get to the Eastern Conference Finals because you would have this quote unquote easier path, right? And which leads to a lot of Sixer fans, Brian, asking, is it time to blow it up? Is it time to hit a reset button? And, Joe Fortenbaugh said this earlier today on 97.3 ESPN.
We've seen him in Philly for 10 years. 3 different front offices, 3 different coaching staffs. They haven't found a way to make any progress with this thing. It feels like it's time to just see what you can get in return, sell them before, the value plummets, and then try to ramp this thing back up another way.
Is that a fair position to take?
I think I wouldn't argue against anyone who feels that way. I can understand why you do. I wouldn't go that far as of yet. I think, to the point of it's time to blow this team up, they've been planning on that for a year. I mean, as soon as they did the James Harden trade, they have been telegraphing we are going to maintain as much flexibility as possible going into this offseason. If they lose this series, Paul Reed's contract will not be guaranteed moving forward. They can waive everyone other than Embiid and Maxey. They could trade their first-round pick this year. They could have $65 billion of cap space. They could have more spending power than basically anyone in the NBA. Now, you look at the list of free agents, and
that's the thing I was going to put.
Right, everyone, I bring this up, and then the first thing everyone says is, all right, who are they going to sign? Like, Paul George and LeBron James are the best 2 free agents, and then it's James Harden, and I don't think he's coming back to Philly anytime soon. So what's the plan if it's $65 million? And I think what Daryl Morey and the Sixers front office would say is, 1, we don't have to create $65 million of cap space. We could re-sign some of the guys on this team, whether it's Oubre, Batum, Lowry, D'Anthony Melton. I think the only guy who I would be shocked if he's back next year is Tobias Harris. I think both sides are well aware it is time to move on.
Yeah.
So they don't have to create $65 million, but they can. You also don't have to spend that cap space on free agents. You can spend it on trades. You can just, one of the rules with trades is if you have cap space, you can accept contracts into that cap space and you don't have to send anything back. So I think there are a lot of teams this summer that, because of this new collective bargaining agreement in the NBA, are going to be looking to move some money around or just get off of money entirely And maybe it's a situation like what Utah found itself in with John Collins last summer, where they only had to give up Rudy Gay's expiring contract in the second round pick for John Collins, who the Hawks were reportedly wanting like multiple first round picks for it every trade deadline, never got it, and then move them off for nothing basically. So the Sixers have maintained this flexibility all throughout this season. That's why they didn't make a big swing for someone on a multi-year contract at the trade deadline. They got Buddy, who's on an expiring contract, so if things didn't work out, they can just move on. So I think the plan is, from both sides, let's see what happens this summer. Let's see what they do with this cap space this summer. And if it doesn't go well, I mean, the range of outcomes is very wide. Like, it could go very well, and they could be championship contenders next year, or they could strike out on plans A, B, and C, run back the same group they have this year. I don't think anyone's happy about that. The Sixers probably aren't happy about that, and Embiid's probably not happy. So, I'm guessing, and I've kind of been saying this since last summer, is Embiid will see what they do this offseason, and that will have a large part in determining, is he happy here long term, or does he start to develop a wandering eye?
Well, we'll get to the Embiid thing in a minute. I want to get back to what you're saying about the trade, because you're right. The trade seems like the most likely path to use the salary cap. And you know what's going to happen, Brian. Immediately, people are going to start throwing out their names. They're throwing out every name they could possibly think of. The Athletic story that came out today about the situation in Phoenix, which, that article is just I mean, good grief. I mean, the whole thing about Booker practicing by himself and the whole Vogel, nobody likes him, and everyone's basically tuned him out, and Durant's not happy with his role. I mean, there's one team that people are going to look at. I mean, apparently Matt Ishbia is like a psycho, apparently, if you're reading the article. And it's like, that's one team, but like, realistically, give context to how many legitimate players could there, like, legitimate, not, like, I got Andrew and Summers Point texting in and said, go get Durant right now. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you have people like Andrew Summers Point. That's where their mind goes when you say this. So what are legitimate scenarios or players that we're talking about here?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to rule out anything at this point, because I think there are going to be a lot of teams looking to make those types of shakeups. I don't know if the Suns are going to be one of them, but it wouldn't shock me if New Orleans, for instance, is looking to move off of Brandon Ingram this summer. He is not someone that I would be particularly interested in for the Sixers, but it's just
I would be more interested in him than Durant.
Why? Just because
he's younger.
Yeah. But I get Tobias 2.0 vibes with him. It would make me very nervous. He just does not.
I don't agree with that. I think Brandon has shown you a lot of growth and a lot of maturity since he got traded from the Lakers. And I think that the problem with Tobias is that we all assumed he was mature, and he's showing us that he's not. Ingram was immature and now has become mature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's a better playmaker than Tobias too, but he's just such a low volume 3-point shooter and not a great 3-point shooter that to me, like, that's what you need this season, regardless of how it ends. If it ends tomorrow night, so be it. You answered your biggest question. Your biggest question coming into the season, other than James Harden, which they resolved in the first week, was, what does Tyrese Maxey look like in this full-time ball handler role? Can he be a legit number 2 guy? I think the answer is yes to that question, and I think the Sixers would agree to that. So now you have to just target guys who are going to fit next to Embiid and Maxey. We can't have any more slow decision makers. You can't have any more low volume 3-point shooters. Look what Miami did in game 2 against Boston. You just need to have a bunch of guys who, if they get hot, you can drain 23s. Like, that is the secret to today's NBA. It is just a shooting variance contest more often than not. And you just can't have guys. I think part of what's killing the Sixers right now is they don't have a ton of these quick trigger shooters, or they have these guys who tend to overthink. And it leads to, especially in the playoffs, when rotations are so locked in, like defensive rotations are so locked in, you don't have that moment to hesitate. What was impressive about Miami in game 2 they were firing at the first open look they got. I mean, they had that the entire team had no conscience. So those are the types of guys that I'd be targeting. Mikal Bridges of the Brooklyn Nets, I think, would be the dream lofty target. I don't think he'll become available from all accounts. The Nets want to fool themselves into thinking that they could be contenders sometime soon. So good luck with that, Brooklyn. But if he became available, I just think the perfect fit, both from an on-court perspective and also financially. He is a way less than max contract for the next 2 years, so I think you can actually build the team around him, Embiid and Maxey. Kyle Kuzma is another one that I would keep my eye on. I know he played on the Wizards this year and was just kind of lost for that reason, but I thought he actually played very well on a descending contract moving forward. Again, way less than a max. So I think my suspicion is that this summer is going to be it's going to be somewhat divisive across the NBA. There are going to be a faction of teams that think we can continue to build around 3 stars, and for all I know, the Sixers are going to be one of them, right? We've heard that they're going to be going after Paul George. That's their primary target, whatever. So they might think we can continue building around a big 3. I think a lot of other teams are going to be moving away from that model and moving more toward 2 stars and just let's surround our 2 stars with like legitimately playable depth, rotation players, starters that we can rely on.
Right, like the Nuggets.
Yeah, and that would probably be my preferred path. But seeing what Paul George did yesterday in Game 4, I could understand being tempted by him as well. So, I think all options are on the table for the Sixers, frankly. They can go for Paul George, LeBron in free agency. Maybe they go for Kevin Durant in a trade, although I would imagine one of the things that's going to hold them back in the trade market, they could trade up to 5 first-round picks, but they don't have contracts to send back. So I think the Suns, I don't think want to just salary dump Kevin Durant for a bunch of draft picks, right? They want help back to stay relevant. So I think that's going to be one obstacle to overcome.
Well, it depends on who the head coach they hire is, too. I mean,
That's true. The Wizards, I think, would be, I'm sure Kuzma is available to the highest bidder whenever someone meets their asking price. So that'd be the guy I have circled right now as like a realistic but high-end target.
Brian, before I let you go, Bryan Toporek joining us. By the way, Brian, this offseason is going to be like the NBA's version of the NCAA transfer portal.
Yeah. All these insiders keep saying it, and that was my suspicion for a while. So hearing them say it makes me feel even better about that.
Right, exactly. Before I let you go, I just want to get your reaction to Embiid when he said this about the Knicks fans taking over the Wells Fargo Center yesterday.
Disappointing. I love our fans. I think it's unfortunate. And I'm not calling them out, but it is disappointing. Obviously, you got a lot of Knicks fans. They're down the road and never seen it. And I've been here for 10 years. It kind of pisses me off, especially because Philly is considered a sports town. So, they've always shown up, and I don't think that should happen. It's not okay.
Your reaction to Embiid's comments from yesterday?
Yeah, I can understand certainly why he feels that way. I can also understand why fans, after all these years, need a reason to believe in this team. And if you're being offered however much money you are for your tickets, I could get Sunday 1:00 is not a convenient time to go to a professional sports game if you have children, for instance. So I don't think either side is wrong here. I think Embiid's right to be disappointed. It must be a real bummer in Game 4 of a must-win Game 4, or a close to must-win Game 4. You are being booed in your home arena. That is undoubtedly a bummer. But at the same time, I'm not going to fault the fans for doing it. And I don't know enough about how the Sixers allocate playoff tickets. Like, if all 20,000 went to season ticket holders, do they put some on the secondary market on their own? Like, is there anything that anyone could have done to prevent this? Or is it just like StubHub exists and there's nothing you can do to stop it? And, the Knicks are 2 hours away. Like, what do you, people
StubHub exists.
I don't know what could be done to prevent Knicks fans from buying tickets when they are that close and can just drive down 95, So
it's a weird conversation for another day, but I just felt like I understand where Embiid's coming from. I think that there is I go back to what happened. It's almost a couple weeks ago now when after the Heat game, when he stopped his car. I put the article up at 97.3 ESPN with the video from a buddy of mine where Embiid doesn't usually stop to do autographs. He doesn't usually stop after a game to do that. He stopped his car and took pictures with kids and signed their autographs. And, he took the time. And I think there's a part of Embiid that loves the fans and he appreciates the fans. And then, he felt like we joked, did the Sixers fail this city? But almost Embiid felt like, did the fans let him down almost?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, if anything, it just raised some red flags because I don't remember Embiid saying something along those lines about the fans before. I know, to Jake Fisher one time, he was saying the fans hate me and want to trade me, but it sounded more joking.
Right, it sounded like he was saying it tongue in cheek. Yeah,
right. Yeah, this one was not tongue in cheek. This was legitimate frustration, and he's playing through. He tore his meniscus a couple months ago, got surgery just so he could come back for this. Is dealing with Bell's palsy as well. He is playing through so much, and I'm sure he knows he's going to get zero credit for any of it if they lose this series, and that must be unbelievably frustrating. So I empathize with Embiid and why he's frustrated, but I just don't know what could have been done to change that situation.
He's Bryan Toporek. Follow him on the Twitter X platform at @BToporek. It's the NBA podcast. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and check out his coverage of Sixers at Liberty Ballers. Bryan, appreciate the time today. Hopefully, at least our conversation at least gave some context to all of our misery right now.
Yeah, and we'll be back hopefully sometime this offseason. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about.
There's always something to talk about with the Sixers, my friend. Take care.
You too.
Josh Hennig here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN. All right, I got text from Christian in Northfield, another one from Andrew at Summers Point. All you guys and more coming up next on 97.3 ESPN.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Bright Spot Cafe in Sea Isle City for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you or someone you know needs help getting through a difficult time, start with NJ211. When you reach out to 211, we can connect you to help with housing, utilities, food, childcare, senior services, income support, healthcare, legal issues, and more. Help is available in over 150 languages, and the service is free, confidential, and available 24/7. Need help? Dial 211, text 898-211, or search nj211.org.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Champion Exteriors. Champion, the one you call first. Voted best of the best in Jersey Shores. For roofing and siding, windows and doors. 24-month financing, no payments, no interest. Your certified GAF elite contractors. Champion-exteriors.com. Champion Exteriors.
Call 800-276-0032.
We're recording this Progressive commercial on a real boat to let people know that when you bundle your home, boat, and other vehicles...
What was that, Flo?
Progressive saves you money, Jamie!
Why are we doing this on a boat?
We were going for authenticity!
We're going to the city?
Authenticity!
You mean Atlantic City? But we're not in the Atlantic! Are we?
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it.
That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Do you have a job? Do you have $199? Do you want a brand new Nissan?
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or a lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Then drive home in your new Nissan Sentra S for only $199 per month lease with zero security deposit and only $29.90 due. That's a brand new 24 Nissan Sentra S that gets up to 39 miles per gallon for only $199 per month. And don't forget the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. VIN RY263341. Lease selling price $22,495. Offer ends 5/5/2024. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Before we get back to the text board at 609-403-0973, the Phillies lineup is out and it's being brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located in Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. A little tweak in the lineup tonight. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bohm, Marsh, Castellanos, Stott, Rojas, Stubbs. So Real Muto gets a night off. Stubbs will catch Christopher Sanchez tonight. So it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward with the lineup, not just because of the lineup, but because you're choosing to put Stubbs with Sanchez. So then you're going to play Real Muto tomorrow against the Angels. A little bit of an interesting twist for the Phils. Again, your Phillies lineup against the Angels tonight. Of course, that game is at 9:40 first pitch on the East Coast. And your lineup has been brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located in Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Back to text board at 609-403-0973. 0973 Christian from Northfield says, hey, Josh, they should take a blowtorch Sixers roster and trust the process. Christian, I don't hate the idea, but the problem with your theory is if they don't do it this year, it's a useless idea. Because remember that the pick they traded when they dumped Al Horford's contract on OKC was a top 10 protected pick for 2025. That pick goes back to you if you are a bad team this upcoming season. So the only way you can blowtorch it, all right, like you and I saw on Saturday, the only way you can pull that off is if you do it this year. Otherwise, you got to do what Bryan Toporek said and, trust another process for the next couple of years. Andrew Numbers Point says Durant coming to Philly or Klay Thompson. Durant, like Bryan Toporek said, that would be really hard to convince the Suns to just let you dump Durant into your open salary cap space. Klay Thompson is interesting because there's a lot of speculation that the Warriors want to keep their team together, basically. I don't know how that's going to work. I really don't. Because if you get Klay Thompson to leave the Warriors, number one, are we breaking up the Warriors altogether? Because apparently Steph Curry is basically, I want to play without Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. The other thing is, if you bring Klay Thompson in, what are you getting? Yeah, he was top 5 in the NBA this year in three-pointers made, but you saw in the postseason that he completely, not in the postseason, in the play-in games, he was a non-factor. So would he be willing to come off the bench? Can you really depend on a guy who is, maybe nowhere near what he used to be? I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. Jeff from Motion City chimes says the NBA will go down as one of the greatest Sixers of all time. Never get out of the second round. Dr. J got a title. Allen Iverson got to the NBA Finals. Barkley got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Joel Embiid in the second round. Well, if that's the case, Jeff in Ocean City, that is going to be a very, very difficult thing to stomach. Steve from KMA Courthouse says, I agree with Joel Embiid. It's simple as this. He talked about the Phillies fans' reputation. He's right. Sixer fans are not as passionate enough. I sat through decades of winning nothing but being an Eagle season ticket holder with Rodney Peete and Mike McMahon and the Detmers. At the event was sold out every game at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. They should have more fans. That's from Steve and KMA Courthouse. Steve, listen, and that's why I don't hate what Embiid said, and I agree with you because. And listen, Brian is also right. The prices of these tickets are very hard to stomach. Mike Gill mentioned earlier in the Sports Bash about how these ticket prices probably deter some people. And there's people who probably look at, and say, I'm tired of paying money for this team. But Steve from KMA Courthouse is right, though. There is something to be said for the fact that Eagle fans show up no matter what. I was at the Eagles game this year when they won in overtime against Buffalo. Not a single fan walked out of that building because of the weather. People were cold, they were wet, they probably got sick from that game, but they never left. So maybe there is something to the fact that Embiid said what he said about the fans. All right, before we get out of here, Steve from Ventnor brought up a good point about Howie Roseman in this weekend. When you look at and we'll get into more of the NFL draft stuff later this week. There is a huge part of the conversation about what the Eagles did this weekend because they let a first round prospect drop to them in the second round. They waited for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Not all these picks are going to pay off, but like the Becton signing, it's about getting as many shots as you can with as much talent as possible in order to see if it works. I think the Eagles did an incredible job at putting themselves in a position to be better next year than they were this past year. And I think that Aeneas Williams pick is going to be a huge potential move as well. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Have a great night, everybody.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Bright Spot Cafe in Sea Isle City for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.